Welcome to Posting Volunteer Opportunities. This video walks you through the process of posting volunteer opportunities on the 1OC's website, which you can visit by going to www.1oc.org. We have handouts to supplement today's conversation. Feel free to follow along from pages 6 through 20. Just to recap what I said in the last video, to post projects, you will have to log into your account, which you access through www.1oc.org. After successfully logging in, you will be taken to this homepage. At the top of the homepage, you will find several tabs, including Home, My Organization, Volunteer Opportunities, Volunteer Teams, Documents, Reports, and Switch to Volunteer Portal. For this training, we will focus on the Volunteer Opportunities tab, which is all you need to post and manage your projects. Now, the first step in creating your volunteer opportunity is to click on the Volunteer Opportunity wizard on the left-hand side of the page. A separate window or tab opens. There, you will find several blank fields. In the field labeled Volunteer Opportunity Name, type in the title of your volunteer project. Keep your title down to a handful of words, because the site limits the number of characters you can enter. For our training purposes, I will create an opportunity titled Volunteers Needed for Beach Cleanup. After entering your title, click on the Primary Impact Area drop-down menu box. Select the impact area that most closely matches your project. In my case, I will select Environment. For the Opportunity Coordinator field, enter the name of the person coordinating your project. This could be you or another staff member. This individual will be the main contact person for your project. Their name and contact information will be made public on the 1OC website. All inquiries will be directed to this individual. I will go ahead and type in my name. After entering the person's full name, click on this small magnifying glass, which opens a separate window or tab. Click on the name that matches what you intend to enter. You may see only one name or a list of several similar names. In either case, click on the link that matches what you intend to click. It is extremely important that you click on the magnifying glass and complete this process. Failure to do so might create duplicate names or redundancies and cause you too many headaches and complications in the future. If you do not see the contact you need in the search results, please contact the volunteer coordinator at 1OC to verify the individual's information. Now that the coordinator is selected, click on the location drop-down box and select the project's location. If the location is not listed on the drop-down menu, you will have to create a new location. To do so, click on the Create Location link, which prompts several fields to open. I recommend that for the most part, you simply type in the street address in the field labeled Location Name. I will simply create 123 Main Street. I will type in Santa Ana for the city, California for the state, and for the zip code I will type in 92705. After doing that, click Save. the new location should be listed on the menu. For our training purposes, I will simply go ahead and select WinOC's business address. Okay, next, you will find two options in the type drop-down box, project and activity. The handout delineates what these two projects mean, although projects is definitely the more common of the two. Projects are your typical volunteer opportunities like beach cleanups, answering phones, serving meals at the soup kitchen, etc. Again, projects refer to our typical volunteer opportunities. You'll use activities less frequently. They refer to invitations to ceremonies, recognition lunches, and the like. For our training purposes, I will simply select project. Moving on, you will then have a chance to designate minimum ages for your project. The website allows you to distinguish between absolute minimum ages and minimum ages for volunteers who accompany adults. Many organizations will want one minimum age for all volunteers, regardless of whether they are with an adult or not. However, if you want two separate minimum ages, you can certainly designate that on this portal. I will go ahead and simply type in 10 for both fields. The next section is schedule type, where you will have two options, date and time specific and to be scheduled. Again, the handout has a lot of information describing the differences between these two options. If your event or project has a specific date or number of dates, select date and time specific. Sometimes, however, projects are ongoing. For example, organizations may need tutors on a year-round basis. Obviously, these projects do not revolve around specific dates. In these circumstances, you would select to be scheduled. For our training purposes, I will simply select date and time specific. Okay, now this is the part where we get a lot of questions. You will find two options in a registration type drop-down box, sign up and express interest. Let's start with the simple option, sign up. When this option is selected, you specify how many volunteers you need. Volunteers simply sign up for projects, automatically taking allocated slots. By selecting this option, no action is required from you whenever volunteers sign up, because open slots automatically fill up as volunteers register for the project. You can always review the list of volunteers who sign up with access to their contact information and with the ability to be in touch with them as you see fit. If you select the sign up option, you will be asked to set both minimum and maximum attendances for the project. Volunteers would be free to sign up until all slots are filled. Beyond that point, volunteers would no longer be able to sign up, but they will be asked to join a wait list. A bit more complicated is the express interest option. If you want to screen and review volunteers before accepting them, select express interest. This allows prospective volunteers to express their interest for a particular project. When they do, an email notification is sent directly to you. Of course, their contact information is included in the email. At that point, you follow up directly with the volunteer with your questions and comments. For obvious reasons, you do not need to indicate a maximum attendance if you select the express interest option. For our training purposes, I will simply select express interest. Following registration type, you will be asked if your event occurs on a regular schedule. If you are creating a one-time event for a specific date, answer no to this question. If you select no, you will be prompted to set the date and time for the opportunity. You want to select the start and end date, simply selecting the corresponding start and end times. For example, if my beach cleanup was to take place on August 4th, I would simply select August 4th as the start date and select August 4th as the end date. The drop-down boxes on the right is where I would select the start and end times. For the start time, I will simply select 8:30, and end time I will select 12 noon. After selecting the correct dates and times, click Create Volunteer Opportunity. Doing so ensures that the event is in the system. If your event takes place over a number of days, weeks, or months, you must select Yes to the question asking if the project takes place on a regular schedule. After clicking Yes, you will be prompted to set a start and end date. This, of course, refers to your project's entire time span. For example, if your project or event will need volunteers on a weekly basis for 1 month, you would indicate the project's first date in the start date field and enter the final date in the end date field. The start and end dates encompass all individual dates involved in your project. So, for example, if my project were to take place throughout August, starting from August 4th to August 25th, I would simply select August 4th as the start date and select August 25th as the end date. After completing all fields, click on the Create Volunteer Opportunity button. The initial registration process is now complete. Congratulations, volunteers are almost on their way. But wait, there remain a series of final steps before your opportunity goes public. First, click on the Volunteer Opportunities tab. You will notice that your project now appears on this list. Click on your new project. That should take you to the Volunteer Opportunity Overview page, which summarizes the information you entered. Now we need to add a project description. Near the top of the Volunteer Opportunity Overview page, you will find a small Add Change Description link. Click on it. A separate window or tab should open where you can add text. Type in your project description. If you wish, you may also copy and paste your description directly into the text box. Before doing so, however, I recommend that you first paste the text to Notepad and then copy and paste that text directly to the appropriate box. Doing so removes formatting configurations that may be embedded in your text. After entering the project description, click Save, then Close, then OK, and Yes. You have now included a project description. If you selected Yes to the question asking whether your project occurs on a regular schedule, you will see a link here that says Submit for Approval. If your project is ready for posting, click on the Submit for Approval link. Doing so sends your project over to WinOC for final review. Upon completion of our review process, your project will be posted on the WinOC website. On the other hand, if your project occurs on a regular schedule, there are additional steps you need to take before your project goes public. Broadly speaking, there are two scenarios for projects occurring on a regular schedule. In one scenario, volunteers are needed on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. In a different scenario, volunteers are needed for multiple dates that are not necessarily synchronized on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. In other words, these dates are random. If you need volunteers for an event taking place on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, you will need to create a recurrence. A recurrence is just a term for a pattern of dates synchronized in a regular fashion. Each date is called an occurrence, and a recurrence contains within it several different occurrences that are synchronized in some ways. Whenever you need volunteers on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, you will need to create a recurrence. To do so, scroll down to the bottom of the overview page until you find the Recurrence section. Click on New Recurrence. You will need to enter start and end times. As mentioned before, the start and end times encompass all dates within this recurrence. which is simply the set of synchronized dates. In my example, I designated August 4th as the start date and August 25th as the end date. I selected 8:30 a.m. as the start time and 12 p.m. as the end time. Next, click on the recurrence type drop-down box and select whether you need volunteers on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. You will find different options depending on what recurrence type you select. For example, if you select daily, you can choose whether you need volunteers every day or only on weekdays. If you select weekly, you can select the precise days you need volunteers and whether you need volunteers every consecutive week. If you select monthly, you may indicate specific times of the month when you need volunteers. Select the option that applies to your situation. Keep in mind, the parameter you select now is applicable only within the dates you initially selected for your recurrence. For the beach cleanup example, because I need volunteers every Monday between August 4th and August 25th, I will select weekly for the recurrence type, every 1 week for weekly recurrence type, and Monday as the day of the week. If you wish, you may select a registration start date and cutoff time. Volunteers would not be able to sign up before the registration start date, and they would be prevented from signing up once the cutoff time applies. Finally, re-enter your project description in the description box. After entering all pertinent information, find the status box at the top of the page, switch the status from pending to active, and then click Save. Now, where project dates are random, you will have to manually create event dates. To do this, click on New Occurrence. You will have to re-enter all required fields. Always make sure to click on the magnifying glass if it's next to the field. Make sure the information matches what you entered originally. If you wish, you may designate a registration start date and cutoff time. Of course, this is optional. You will need to enter the start and end times for this one event. In contrast to the first scenario, you will not indicate entire time spans in these boxes. We are creating one date for the project. Hence, the start date and end date should remain the same. For example, if I need volunteers on August 8th, a date not part of the original recurrence, I would select August 8th as a start and end date. All you need to do is identify the different start and end times. I will go ahead and type in 8:30 as the start time and 12 noon as the end time. As you can see, you must manually type in the time. After entering all pertinent fields, find the status drop-down box at the top of the page, select Active, and then click Save. You have now created an occurrence. Repeat this process for all event dates. You should be able to view all project dates and times in the Occurrence section. If you need to review information within a specific occurrence, you may simply click on the corresponding ID number. The same is true if you want to review a specific recurrence. If you initially created a recurrence and need to make edits, click the edit link that's next to the recurrence you want to edit. After making your edits, select yes to the question asking whether you want to update existing connections. Once you select this, click Save. This is how you edit recurrences. If you want to edit occurrences that are attached to a recurrence, you need to edit the recurrence itself. Editing individual occurrences that are part of a recurrence will break their connection. Attempting to edit occurrences will only create headaches for you. If you need to edit individual occurrences that are not affiliated with a recurrence, you may edit those directly. If you need to edit the entire project, that is, everything beyond individual occurrences and recurrences, simply click Edit at the top of the page. Before you can submit your project for approval, make sure to designate the appropriate age groups that will be served by the event. If you don't designate this, the portal will not allow you to submit your project. For the beach cleanup example, I will select all ages. After reviewing your data and making final revisions, click Save. You are now ready to submit your project for approval. Near the top of the overview page, click Submit for Approval. Your project has now been submitted to OneOC for review. You can view the approval status next to where it says Opportunity Published. This line will indicate whether OneOC has approved, declined, or is continuing to review your project. After we approve it, you will receive an email letting you know that your project has been approved. If at any moment you need to update or change your project information after submitting it for approval, simply return to the project overview page and click Edit. Go ahead and make all necessary edits. After finishing, click Save. If you need to change your project description, click on the Add Change Description link. A window or tab with your text should open. Make all the necessary changes. If you need to paste in a new description, remember to copy it from Notepad. Once complete, click Save, Close, OK, and Yes. You have now updated your project description. It is important to remember that any edits you make will have to be reassessed by OneOC. After making edits, the status of your project will change to awaiting approval. No further action is required from you. You will receive a notification after your project is approved once again. That is the end of our second video. Congratulations. Tune in to our third and final video, Follow-Up, which walks you through the process of responding to and communicating with volunteers who expressed interest in your project.